Dear students, let us start the discussion on Indian Express 24th February 2016 newspaper. So the first article is on the ideas page and it is related to the backward forwards. I like this article and it has organized the reservations debate most systematically. It has divided the reservations in India into three phases. The first phase, it is a social justice argument in which the Adivasis which are not equally placed, Dalits who are not equally placed, they have to be given constitutional protections so that they can become inclusive to our society. So the reservations in the first phase which are given in the constitution, they take up this social justice dimension. And in the second phase, it is majorly comes after the Mandal Commission report. In this phase, both the justice dimension to an extent, but not as serious as in the first phase, and also employment opportunity as a second dimension, or economic opportunity as a second dimension, both of them are the reasons for the OBC reservations. Now, the third phase, it is called as ruling caste model. Now in this, the Patidars, Kapus in Andhra Pradesh, Jats in Haryana, everyone are asking for the reservations. Now, these socially forward castes, they believe they have a control over the state and its power. A sense of ownership exists over the politics of the day, and they want to use this political clout to get an economic benefit. What are the reasons for this in the third phase? One is a social forwardness and with economic backwardness. So the education opportunities are slowly decreasing for these people. The fragmentation of land made them no advantageous than the others. The decreasing social distances because of the improvement of the status of the Dalits. So if you understand clearly over here, when economic hierarchies are disturbed in a rigid social hierarchy, then the sense of social distance which is existing in a social hierarchy will automatically get disturbed. Simply I am saying this way. So now economically there is a progress of Dalits. Economic hierarchies are disturbed because the forward caste, they are losing on their economic front. So, but however, the social hierarchies are still strong. So this imbalance automatically leads to a tension. So these are the reasons why the upper castes are demanding for the reservations now. So these are the article. Now the sword of recapitalization. Now if you see, we are going through very tough phases in our economy. On one side, there is a good news that we are fast growing economy. On the other side, the stressed assets of the banks are increasing and they are to the tune of around 7 lakh crore rupees. And fiscal deficit target, it was kept around 3.9% followed by 3.5%, 3% of GDP from 2015 to 2017. So now, growth momentum has to be maintained to create the employment, and at the same time fiscal deficit targets have to be met. So the relative chances of government to recapitalize the banks appears to be less. If at all it has to recapitalize, it has to compromise on the welfare front of the development. So with the elections on front, the political cost of compromise on welfare will be very high. So on expenditure front, the implementation of the 7th Pay Commission report, it's also going to increase the burden on the government. So in this case, the NPA crisis, it either leads to the increased fiscal deficit or to a compromise on the welfare programs of the government. Now the second article on the same page talks about demarcating a safe threshold. Now, as and when an agitation comes up, the government is immediately reacting to shut down the internet. Either Jat agitation or Patidar agitation in Gujarat. Everywhere there is an automatic shutdown of internet. So who has provided this right? If you take IP is the CRPC section 144. Next is Information Technology Act section 69A, Indian Telegram Act section 5 subclause 2. All of them provides the powers to the magistrate to immediately stop the internet. This is disturbing the right to connectivity and also causing the huge economic losses. So in this context, what it is being recommended is more than implementing the or disconnecting the internet on general clauses like section 144, we can use specifically section 69A and subclause 5, that is Indian Telegram Act section 5 subclause 2. So what we can say is this over here. If we can demarcate a safe threshold or else proper guidelines are created, so the misuse of cutting down of the connectivity will come down. Coming to the Prime Minister's, Finance Ministers and Union Budget. If you evaluate the progress of the Union Budget, it can delineate the politics of India. Now in this case, if you see the Prime Minister the Prime Minister Rao and Manmohan Singh plan, so how it has led to the revival of the economy and followed by the instability of the Devagowda government and the P. Chidambaram's dream budget, the United Front government's dream budget, and followed by the NDA government Vajpayee's pragmatic budget, and finally today the later UPA government's budget, and finally NDA government budget. If you see this progress, the first is a crisis situation was existing during Rao Manmohan Singh era, and the ultimate statesmanship shown by the PV Narasimha Rao as the Prime Minister and the freedom given to the Finance Minister, it has given rise to today's economic stability and progress. The foundation was laid by this duo. And then, whenever there is an unstable, short-lived government existed, this government tries to appease the people rather than consolidate to the sound principles of the economy. So if you take Chidambaram, the dream budget, it is about providing more offers or more concessions to the people. And then, in the NDA government era, the Vajpayee government era, the rural development and connectivity was given a greater focus. And during UPA 1, the P. Chidambaram, he was very active with regard to the sound economic principles. But later, when Pranab Mukherjee became the finance minister, the retrospective tax has become a major issue. And today, growth and fiscal deficit, how they have to be balanced with each other, is a major argument before the finance minister Arun Jaitley. And coming to the Sweden and cashless free world. So today, the physical cash and its role is decreasing, and in the place of that, the plastic money has come into existence. And now, in the place of the plastic money, the mobile money is coming into existence. The application-based transactions, these are increasing across the world. In Sweden too, success of the app Swish, it has led to the increase in the mobile application-based transactions. What are the advantages of this? The maintenance of the cash is becoming too costly these days. And also the cash is the major reason for the crime. So, all the mobile transactions will lead to reduction in unaccounted money and also the safety of carrying the money from one place to the other place. On the other hand, disadvantage is the technology illiterates, they may face a challenge with regard to the use of this money. Coming to the editorial page, now the Pathankot and Pompore, they are sending a very strong messages to us. Now, there is a dissent that is growing in Kashmir all around. Now, if you see, when a jihadist, Abu Khalid, has died, there are almost 60,000 plus mourners have attended his funeral. And when the chief minister has died, Saeed has died, not even 6,000 have attended to that. That shows how Kashmiris are becoming distant from the democratic politics. What are the reasons for this? The Kashmiris got disillusioned with democracy as the development did not occur as expected. So the young population, along with the communal polarization, has given rise to an impetus to the jihadist movement. And it is the time we shall stabilize the democracy and along with the assurance of the development for the Kashmiris. If not, the cost of growing dissent will prove costly for India. And coming to flying again is the logic. It is about 5 by 20 rule in the aviation sector. It means that an aircraft, an airlines at least shall have 5 years of minimum existence and shall possess 20 flights to have a permission onto the international routes. And international routes are considered to be more profitable compared to the domestic routes. So, in this case, Ratan Tata argues for scrapping down of this 5 by 20 rule, which is becoming discriminatory against the new players and providing for monopolization tendencies. Then, in a market economy, what is the role of the state? It shall act as a regulator to maintain the competition. So, if this is scrapped, it automatically leads to consumer protection and also benefit to the consumer through multiple players. The counter argument to this is the government shall ensure the safety of the passengers and viability of the functioning of the industry. Then only it shall allow for the flying in the international routes. So if it is applied, then the new airline shall not be given the permission and 5 by 20 has to continue. But however, the 5 by 20 like these rules do not appear anywhere across the world. And what the established players are talking about is, yes, you go ahead with 5 by 20, but it has to be done away with along with the fixed guidelines which are being issued by the government. So what are these guidelines are? These are called route dispersal guidelines. For example, Leh in Kashmir, and if you talk about northeastern India, the government asks for the older players to provide for a regular connectivity to them in spite of incurring the losses. So what they say is if 5 by 20 has to be done away with them, the government also has to scrap these particular guidelines. Now, the new civil aviation policy is on the table. Along with 5 by 20, it is also seriously looking about improving the regional connectivity. Already, Civil Aviation Minister has said that the upper cap of the airlines traveling to the secondary cities, the money charge shall be less than 2,500 rupees per ticket. So that will be tax subsidized. So these are the things which are in discussion. And we the conspirators, it is about JNU, suppression of dissent, nationalism, etc. Already we spoke many articles in Hindu about this. Coming to the 5 by 20, already we have discussed about this. The President of India, he is talking in his presidential address to the Parliament, he has mentioned about certain projects related to infrastructure. So the first one is Bharatmala scheme. In the Bharatmala scheme, the highways and inland water bodies, coastal shipping will be developed to provide for the transport and logistical connectivity. And Green Highways Policies 2015 was also mentioned. Amendment to the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act 1957 to provide for the transparency in mine allocations is being taken forward. The Pradhan Mantri Khanija Kshetra Kalyana Yojana for the welfare of the mine workers. And finally, dedicated commercial courts to decrease the litigation related to the commerce. And along with this, the policy paralysis which has hallmarked the UPA 2 government is being done away with. More than 74 plus stalled projects are being given approvals. So these are the achievements of the NDA government. So this is about today's newspaper, Indian Express. Thank you very much. And again, giving of Indian Express to you is my convenience. So I cannot promise you a predictable time on Indian Express. But what I can promise you is weekly I can consolidate all the papers for you. So in this context, I will definitely give you the Indian Express, but don't push me for the timelines on the Indian Express. But Hindu I will give you on time. because it really takes a lot of time to prepare the notes on Indian Express and Hindu. Thank you very much.